So there's a story how we came to be eating this corn, whatever it is, at this restaurant. Thanks to Facebook, I reconnected with a friend of 20 years ago who tended to travel, and she was traveling in New York and had this dish, grilled corn, at Cafe Habana in New York. It's a little far to go for a piece of corn, but we discovered that they have another branch at Malibu, and so we've decided to come out and try it. So
It's grilled corn.
it comes highly recommended. Thank you, Julie. But let's give it a try.
Ooh, yum.
That is really good. I mean, the corn is grilled, which gives it that nice juicy flavour and a little bit of grilled flavour. It's spicy. It's got a nice bit of... the cheese, of course, is salty. I'm not sure what cheese it is, but it's salty, spicy, and a little bit sour.
And a little bit of heat from the cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
It's a really nice mix of flavours. The squeeze of lime juice on top, I really like that because that gives a bit of sour as well, which balances off everything really nicely.
Yep, I think this is simple enough that we could probably give it a go.
This should be pretty easy to make. I'll do some research.
All right. Turns out that this Mexican grilled corn is a street food, kind of like a hot dog or a pretzel would be, or back in the place I come from, a meat pie.
The most important ingredient in Mexican grilled corn is the corn, and we were lucky enough to get fresh corn from a CSA box. What is a CSA box?
CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture, lets urban dwellers like us deal direct with a farmer who delivers seasonal, fresh fruit and vegetables in a box direct to your door. You don't necessarily know what's coming, but that's part of the appeal because you get exposed to new vegetables and fruits that you may otherwise not have used. It's always fresh, always seasonal, and has the highest nutritional value that you can get, much higher than fruit and veg you can get in a supermarket. The food is harvested the night before, or perhaps even just before dawn on the day of delivery, and then delivered straight to your door, so it is fresh and full of nutrition.
The problem with a CSA box is that you're only going to get what's in season. You can't really have a lot of control over what comes in the box. That can be a bit of a challenge, but it gives you a little bit of a guideline about what you might want to do. We're in the middle of summer, so we've got corn.
Fresh corn is sweeter. As soon as you pick it, the sugars that are in the corn start to convert to starch, and once they start to convert to starch, they stop being sweet. So the best corn is the freshest corn, and you can't get it fresher than a CSA box.
So how can you tell when the corn is fresh? The husks should be green, not brown, and the silk tassels on the end should be really sticky and mostly sort of golden yellow. I'm always very wary of corn where they've cut the tops off to take the tassels off, because then you can't really tell how long it's been sitting there.
You might have heard some people say that you should leave the corn in the husk in order to cook it, but that would steam it, and we're not going to get the grill flavour that we want. Certainly there's other ways of preparing corn, other corn dishes where that would be a perfectly viable way of preparing it, but for us we want the corn to be naked so that we're going to get a lot of those grill Maillard reactions, the browning on the surface.
I was just going to say how much more difficult it is with this fresh corn. It's because it's so juicy. Even the husk is really, really hard to remove because it's not dried out like the corn from a supermarket normally is.
Oh, maybe we could have folded it back and left it attached.
Yeah, I guess so. Too late now.
Many people advocate that you should microwave the corn first, or at least boil it a little bit to get the cooking process going. But I prefer to put the corn into the grill while it's warming up, and that way I get the heating through of the corn, and then I get the good, nice Maillard reactions from the grill itself later on in the process. So that's going to take about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to turn every minute or so, a quarter of a turn each time, until I get it all nice and golden brown and a little bit black, and I hear the corn kernels popping. You can see that the corn on the left has got a little bit of head start, it's got better colour. That's because it's in the hottest part of the grill. I've used this grill a couple of times, and I know that's the hottest part, and I'll use that part of the grill so that I can adjust where the corn is being placed on the grill so that all the corn gets done together.
So to get the cheese to stick to the corn, we have to make what's sort of a glue. And the glue is just made out of mayonnaise and sour cream. Couple of tablespoons of sour cream. About 1/4 cup of mayo.
You could measure, but, you know, it's approximately.
It's only glue. And a little bit of ground cumin. Wow, it really looks like glue.
How do you know that that is ready?
It's mixed, it's consistent, and I even decided to bring a pastry brush to paint it on the corn.
You probably don't actually have to do it every minute, literally, but I like to keep the cooking evenly as it goes around and around. Otherwise, sort of one section will get more cooked than another, and it's hard to keep track of what's cooked, what's not cooked, how long should I be leaving it here. So turning it regularly, I think, is just an easier way of getting an even cooking. A bit of browning is what we're looking for, so that's desirable. It might be Elton Brown's line, but I wish you could smell how good this corn is at the moment. We don't have smell-o-vision, and neither did he, but it smells fabulous.
Now we should grate the cheese.
Right, and the cheese that we need is a special cheese, Csa. It's a Mexican cheese. It's a soft, unripened cheese. So let's get working on grating some of that. How much are we going to grate?
About 1 cup.
Do you want to start grating that? You'll notice that we've got the grater on the smallest setting, and that's because we want a very fine, light, powdery cheese when it comes time to sprinkle it over the corn. The light, powdery cheese will stick better. But Csa is not a cheese that you probably want to put on a cheese platter. It's like a little bit more intense feta cheese. It's very salty, a little bit crumbly.
It's really crumbly.
Really crumbly, and it's a little bit funky. It's like I said, it's not a cheese you want to put on a cheese platter, but it's a great cheese for this job. Because it's a Mexican cheese, Csa is not available everywhere. Most people seem to think that grated Parmesan is the best alternative. It has the sort of saltiness and the right texture. You could also try some very finely grated or chopped feta, but it won't have the depth of flavour or saltiness that you'll get with Csa or with the Parmesan. That's a very hot grill. It's making the corn pop, which is truly popcorn. The kernels are heating up so far that they just pop, and that's what happens to dried corn, and it makes popcorn. We've got fresh corn. That one's getting close to being ready. So is that one. That's getting very close. And I'm going to move this one out, back in. Doesn't matter if they get a little bit black, it's all flavour. What I'm looking for is this an evenness of like this sort of colour over all of them. Based on where it was last time, I'm pretty sure we should be ready right now. And I'm happy with that. Isn't that great? There's only one thing left to do, is to put the cheese on the corn and then to eat it.
Okay, now I'm going to paint on the glue and stick on the cheese. I have a pastry brush that's just lightly brushing on our glue mixture. And that should be enough glue to let this beautiful, finely grated cheese to stick all over the outside. A sprinkle of chipotle powder. A wedge of lime, and we're done. Okay.
Now this is the part that I really like. It's the eating part. And you can see that I've got two. That's because one is never enough. I can make a whole meal out of this. Shall we try?
I hope it tastes as good as the one from Malibu.
Oh, look how yellow that corn is.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Sweet and salty.
And it's that little hint of smokiness from the chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
And
a little bit of sour from the lime. That's a really, really good flavour combination.
Start with really fresh corn. Make up your glue with your mayonnaise broken down with a sour cream or other cream component. Grill the corn to perfection, and then sprinkle on the brush on the glue, sprinkle on the cheese, and then eat and enjoy. That's what life is about, is the enjoyment of good food, good company, and good friends. Fresh ingredients, simple techniques, and great food. That sounds like us.
Yum. I'm sorry, but mine's better.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yours is better.